Hi, good evening. So I'm again back like ever before with a beautiful poem from class 10 syllabus. And the title of the poem is Dust Up Snow, which was written by Robert Frost. Whenever I think about Robert Frost, so many things come to my mind. The very first thing, the two beautiful lines from Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. And that's woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep and miles to go before I sleep. And come to my mind the timeless poems like Road Not Taken, Fire and Ice, many of them. Then comes to my mind a person who has inspired generations with his poems. People like the US President John F. Kennedy, famous personalities like George R. Martin. So Robert Frost, he doesn't need any introduction. And there is quite a history behind how he was named Robert. His father, Frost Sr., from a very young age he was passionate about joining Confederate Army. So he ran away from home at a very young age. And later he was found out and returned to the family. But that passion for the Confederate Army remained. So when this Junior Frost was born, Frost Sr. named him after his favorite general, Robert R. E. Lee. So this is how the child was named Robert, and he became Robert Frost. There are so many interesting things about him. He was a college dropout. He could not even complete 2 years at Harvard, and he had to drop out just because he had to support his wife and child. And he used to say humorously that they could not make a student out of me. It's another thing that in 1937, Harvard gave him the honorary degree. But by that time he had become very, very famous for his poems, a great man. So many things are famous about him. Like when he wrote the first poem, which was titled My Butterfly and Elegy. So he sold it for $15. In today's times, it would be equal to $422. Quite a handsome amount. So that's how Robert Frost began. Today we are going to talk about a beautiful poem as you see on the board, Dust of Snow. It talks of so many things. It talks of the healing power of nature. It also talks of the importance of the insignificant. It also talks about how even something bad can lead to something great. How adversity can lead to a great life. So many things have been highlighted here. Let us talk first about the healing power of nature. What we find in the poem, we find a hemlock tree and a crow. And symbolism has been heavily used in this poem. The hemlock tree and the crow both symbolize the insignificant elements of nature, which hardly get any importance in people's mind. Hemlock is the same poison which was responsible for killing Socrates when he was sentenced to death. The poison was given to him. So hemlock gained a kind of very bad reputation after that because it was used in Socrates' death. It created a negative impression on people's mind. And when we talk about crow, not in our society, crows have been messengers and they are present in our folklores, in our folk songs as birds which bring the messages from our loved ones. But in Western society, crows are looked down upon because of their poor shape, their poor form. They're not beautiful to look at. So they are considered to be ugly. They have got a voice which is jarring to the ears. That's why people don't look at this hemlock and the bird crow with respect. They are a kind of notorious in that society. But these two insignificant, notorious elements, they create a wonder. They are capable of bringing about a very positive change in a person's life. So let us read the very first stanza. The way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. It's a very simple poem, just 8 lines. And that's complete one sentence. The whole poem has been written in one sentence. So it talks about the way nature acts upon us. The nature wants to see us happy. The nature wants to see us fighting with the odds. The nature wants us to emerge a conqueror. That's why it keeps showing us the direction. It tries to brighten our mood, and it has the capacity that if it's so willing, it can bring about a very big change, a major change in a person's life, physically, mentally, at all levels. With even the commonest elements that is considered, and the ugliest ones, the notorious ones. So here we find the hemlock and the crow being used. So in this poem we see the way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. The poet is standing under a hemlock tree. Robert Frost lived in the New England area, and that was famous for its beautiful landscape, the snow-clad mountain tops, the beautiful pine forests. And he was used to long walks, used to go on long walks every evening, every morning. And while having a walk, he used to think. So might be that day he might have faced something unpleasant, and he was standing under a hemlock tree and he was thinking. Rather, he was brooding over the problems of life. Something might have happened to him. He was in a very dark mood, in a gloomy mood. And suddenly the crow, sitting on one of the branches of that hemlock tree, tried to either adjust itself or try to fly away. It did indulge in certain action that shook the branch. It was winter. There was snowflakes. Okay, there were snowflakes on the tree, on the branches. The moment the crow shook the branch, okay, the snowflakes or the snow particles as fine as dust. That's why the poet calls it the dust of snow. The particles, the snow particles are so fine that they appear as dust. And here dust also shows their insignificance, that how ordinary, how common they are. So when the crow shook the branch of the hemlock tree, those snowflakes fell upon the poet, who was brooding over something. In a very dark and gloomy mood he was. The moment those flakes, those cold flakes, fell upon his head, upon his face, upon his shoulder, he just came out of the trance suddenly. He became aware of the reality around. He saw nature was there in its magnificent beauty spread around him. And that beautiful scenery, that beautiful landscape, it brought him out of that negative mood. Just in one moment, everything changed. The poet was in a very bad mood, thinking about some problem. Sorrowful he was, standing under a hemlock tree. And standing under a hemlock tree, hemlock is a symbol of sorrow, it's a symbol of danger. So he was standing over there. It shows he was in a very bad mood. But the same hemlock tree, a crow sitting on one of its branches, shook the branch down and let some snowflakes fall upon the poet, which brought about that positive change in his mood. So this is what the first stanza says. It says, the way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree, and has given my heart a change of mood. So the sudden fall of those flakes upon his shoulder, upon his face, that suddenly brought a change in his mood. That's why he says, has given my heart a change of mood. My mood changed from negative to positive. from sorrowful to pleasant. The trance was gone. He became aware of the beauty of nature around him. He just became aware of the fact that life is not made to remain sad, to keep thinking about the problems. Rather, we should have a solution-oriented attitude. We should not be brooding over the problem. We should be thinking about the solution, and that helps us out in the world. So the poet says in the second stanza, has given my heart a change of mood. Okay, so here when we talk about heart never means the one which pumps blood. See, heart signifies your emotions. So his emotions, which were which were on a downward trend, okay, which were quite, depressing state. So from those depressing mood, he came back to the positive one, to the beautiful one, to the bright one. So that's why he says, has given my heart a change of mood, and saved some part of a day I had ruled, and a considerable part of the day had been spent in ruing, in worrying, okay, in brooding over the problem. But some part of it was saved just because the hemlock tree, and under the hemlock tree the poet was standing, and a crow, an ugly and insignificant bird, it simply shook down one of the branches. The snowflakes, the snow dust rather, fell upon the poet's head, face and shoulder, and they brought about a change, a beautiful change in his mental state. So here, through this small poem, the poet wants to tell you that nature has the power to bring about a great change in your physical and mental state. It can heal you of your physical and mental ailments, problems, right? That's what the poet wants to emphasize. It also shows even the most insignificant, the smallest things, the elements of nature, they have power to cause a big change. It also shows that if you try to persist through the times, even your adversity changes into prosperity. Your dark and black mood changes into something good, something pleasant. So these three themes you find woven in the poem. This is a beautiful poem, small one but beautiful one. Okay, and you know already that he has been very famous for writing such beautiful poems, Robert Frost. So I hope this small poem is clear to you now, and very soon I'll be there with the next one. If you like the explanation, please do like my channel and subscribe it also, because you will be getting the information about the upcoming chapters. So see you very soon. Thank you very much for being with me. Okay, bye.